Welcome back, Finxters. Now we are well equipped with all the necessary tools and the concepts that we need to scrape a website or a web page. Now it's time to use all the concepts that we learned so far and scrape content from a web page. So without further delay, let us dive into our web page and see how we can scrape some content out of it. Now I have defined a few steps which are mere guidelines that can help you to scrape contents from a website. It is not absolutely necessary to follow these steps, but they are definitely going to help you if you want to scrape a website. So this might come in handy in future. So the first and the foremost step that you must do or follow is to navigate and inspect the website or the web page that you want to scrape. So in our case, we are going to scrape some content from our example website. So let us move on to our example website from which we want to scrape some content. So as you have been noticing that this was the website that we have been using again and again to demonstrate examples. Now let's try and extract all the contents of this table and then print it accordingly or store it accordingly. So let us try and extract all the topics along with their URLs or the link separately so that we can navigate to them whenever we want. So what do I mean by that? Let us extract something which looks like this. The topic along with its URL. So we are going to do something similar for every topic, which might give you an idea how you can extract data from a table in a given website. Now, before we can scrape this data, we have to navigate the web page or the HTML code behind this page and find out the exact area which we need to focus upon in order to scrape the topics along with their links. So let us right click on the web page and let's click on inspect. Let's expand the body and we need to find a table. So here we go. We have our table and I hope you can see that the table was highlighted on the left side of the screen as soon as I selected the table tag on the right side of the screen. Now let's expand this tag and we have the table body. Let's expand that as well. Now let's move on to the table headers, but we do not want to extract the table headers, so let's not focus on that. And this is what we want to extract. So we want to focus upon the table data and we want to extract table data in chunks and then organize them so that we get the desired output. So without further delay, let us dive into our coding screen and then let's extract the table data one by one. So we are done with our first step and now it's time to import all the necessary libraries that we are going to need in order to scrape the contents from the website or the web page. So do you remember the libraries? Libraries were the request library, and then we need to import BeautifulSoup library. So from BS4 import BeautifulSoup. Now the next step is to create a user agent. Now this is not absolutely necessary because for this website you would not be needing a user agent. But as I mentioned before, there might be some websites which might think that you are a bot and block you. So in order to overcome that, you must create a user agent. So let us create our user agent. So let's create a variable named headers, which is going to be a dictionary, and within it, let's paste our user agent. I hope you remember how we can derive or get a user agent. If not, please go back to that video and check how you can create a user agent and then come back to this step and follow the next steps accordingly. Now it's time for us to send the GET request to the server and fetch the web page contents. So in order to do that, let us create a variable named response, and then let's use the requests library dot get method, and within the get method we need to specify the URL that we want to fetch. So this is the URL. So let us paste it. And now we need to specify the user agent within this get method. So we named it headers, and we are done with the response variable. Now we need to fetch the content of the response variable. So let's create another variable named web page. And within this, let us extract the contents of the response from the server. So response.content. Now let us check the status code. This is an optional step, but it is quite instrumental to check if we are getting a proper response from the server. So let us not skip this step. Let's use the print statement and then response dot status code. So before proceeding further, let's check if we are getting a proper response. And as you can see, the status code is 200. This means we are getting a proper response. Now it's time that we create the BeautifulSoup object. So let's name it soup equals BeautifulSoup. Let's pass web page that holds the content. And now let's specify the HTML parser. So HTML dot parser. Now that brings us to the main part of our program. We now have to use the concepts that we learned so far and then extract the content that we want. In this case, we want to extract the data from this table. So what we can pretty much do is use the find all method along with a for loop to hover through each table row and then extract data from each row one by one. So let's do that. Let's use a for loop for tr in soup.findAll tr. So we are now iterating over the table rows. Now I need a way to extract the data. For that, I'll create a variable named values, and within values I'll define a list comprehension such that values equals data for data in tr.findAll t. So I hope you understand that in values I'm trying to extract the data or the table data by iterating over each row. Now that we have extracted the values successfully from the table in a list, we now need to place them or organize them properly and then print them as we want. So let us use another loop for that. For value in values, and then let's print topic, or what I would rather do is create a variable or couple of variables, topic and URL, and store the respective strings within them accordingly. And now within my for loop I'm going to print topic comma value dot text. And then you might be wondering why I did this. So if you are acquainted with how to swap variables, then this is exactly what I did. Therefore, when I'm iterating over each row using the value variable, in the first case it will print topic, and then beside topic it will print the actual topic or the heading of the topic, and then the variable topic will hold the URL. Now I do not need to store topic again into URL, because In this case, we have to print only 2 lines. Completing the entire swap is not required here because as soon as the topic and the URL gets printed, we again move on to this loop or the outer loop, and then again topic as usual stores the string topic and URL stores the string URL. So let's go through the logic once again. We are using a for loop to iterate over all the table rows. Then we define couple of variables, topic and URL, which hold the respective strings topic and URL. Then we have a list comprehension that helps us to loop through each table data in each row of the table. After extracting all the table data into a list, we are trying to print them in a proper structure and reach our final output, which would look something like this. Now let's try and execute our code and check if we got the desired output. So right click and run example 1. We have used the wrong codes in the wrong place. Okay, now let's execute our code once again. And there we go. As you can see, we have successfully extracted the contents in the exact way that we want. Now, it would look better if we use a print statement here in order to add some spacing between the individual topics. Now let's execute our code. And that looks far better. So we have successfully extracted each topic along with its URL. So with that, we come to the end of the first example. Now in the next example, we are going to have a look at a live example instead of a very basic website or a web page that we have been using so far. But this was more than enough to give you an idea how you can actually scrape data from a web page and then use it the way you want. So if you have time, please join me in the next example where we are going to have a look at how we can extract some real-time data.